Hello everyone, it's a new year which can only mean one thing, a brand new comments video. Hello all and welcome along to another comments video with me, Lai Mandan. Thank you very much for joining me. Before we begin today, a big thank you to the sponsors of today's video, Raycon. Raycon's everyday earbuds really do look, feel and sound better than ever. Their gel tips have a perfect in-ear fit. These earbuds are so comfortable, they stay in your ear no matter what you are doing. I've been using one of their 3 sound profiles as I work my way through the Witcher audiobooks. Pure sound. This is refined sound, perfect clarity to hear every single note or word. There are also 2 other sound profiles, balanced sound, Raycon's most universal and leveled sounds profile for all-around performance, warmth and depth. Now that's best for most music listeners who like to switch between different music genres. And bass sound. Bass boosted sound, great for songs with strong beats and a go-to for bass lovers. To swap between different sound profiles, you just hold down the left earbud button for 3 seconds to cycle between the different profiles. And Raycons are priced just right. You get quality audio for around half the price of other premium audio brands, with 8 hours of playtime and a 32-hour total battery life. Raycon everyday earbuds have over 50,000 5-star reviews and it's easy to see why. Click the link in the description box or go to buyraycon.com/SaiMandan to get 15% off your first purchase of Raycons. Right, back to today's video where we're once again raising our lance of debate against the enemy's shield of opinion that is the Lai Mandan comment section. Now the reason I've done the comment section a little bit earlier this month is I'm about to take a 2-week break and I'll be laying on 5 guest creators just for your viewing pleasure. I'm super excited to share with you their amazing work and it will be starting on Tuesday the 17th with the brilliant Emma Thorne. Right, on with the show, and we start with a comment from 0xabad Cafe, who has this to say. At Lai Mandan, I've only just realised you sound a bit like Gary Lineker. Okay, not really sure what to say about that one. If only I played football like him, hey? Actually, no. I'll take Sunday League worldies over professional 6-yard tap-ins any day. Sorry Gary, couldn't resist. Next up is a comment from Skull, who says, I can see why Lai Mandan had to not include Sundial and ignore evidence to be right, just like at Talking to Leeds Cullen said he would have to. Dan is supposed to be debunking a theory involving the annual rotation of the pole star in the quadrants and the sundial at Coral Castle. At Lai Mandan literally could not even include the stuff he was supposed to be debunking to save his own face. It's obvious that at Lai Mandan is scared to debate this, so he showed you the daily rotation instead that wasn't part of what he was supposed to debunk. That is true, Skull, but then I released this video, which blows Mr. Talking to Leeds Cullen out of the water, doesn't it? Dear oh dear. Next up to have their say is someone called Vic, who says, telekinesis is real. I am blessed with this ability at birth. It is something I've been training for many years on. Don't get peanut butter and jelly because you can't do it. I can assure you, Vic, I am not jealous about a fictional ability. Moving on, and our next comment comes from a Richie Vital, who says, you look like if James Franco and Adam Sandler had a son. Well, that is fair, I suppose. I can't really argue with that if that's what you think. Moving on, please. And this one is coming from Twitter. Son of the Son of Man. Some little egg-headed globe enthusiast turns out she isn't biologically a male. Sorry, Dana. Are you obsessed with balls because you don't have any? Look, even if this was the case, which it's not, who cares? Honestly, it makes no difference as to whether or not I am correct. You need to stop obsessing about other people and maybe focus on your own life a little bit, buddy. Now, following on from this, the next comment comes from a Becky who seems to be backing our friend up a bit. Gait tells everything you need to know. Oh, does it, Becky? Well, I'm sure that how I look whilst running a marathon has nothing to do with whether or not I am correct about something. Dear oh dear. I think these things say a lot more about the people making these comments than anything else. Next up is a comment from Simeon Mentes, who says, you're only giving snotty comments. The earth is flat because the Bible describes it that way. If the earth was round and spinning at over 1,000 miles per hour at the equator, how can we have stationary clouds and even fluffy ones? They should all be lines at that speed. Tell me you don't understand physics without telling me you don't understand physics. Lines. Amazing. Of course, the atmosphere and the clouds within it are also moving with Earth. Next up to have their say is Gilbert Roper, who says, smart, although a little smug as you are, you haven't figured out yet that most flat earthers are trolling you. You don't care though, because you are in it for the same thing they are. It's all about the engagement. I can pretty much guarantee you that most of them aren't. Yes, there are some out there that don't believe it, but I'm telling you now, most of the flat earthers out there are genuine. Now, moving on, we have Rob Gow, who says, the astrological signs don't dictate full personalities. Lol. Lame. What you're saying is gibberish. And you can't just go after one astrologer and then wipe your hands. You're smart, but not as smart as you think. And the astrology you're referring to is based on seasons. Scorpio will always be an autumnal sign. You simply don't understand. If you're talking about the sidereal zodiac, then yes, it does change. If you understood the occult, you would understand. Actually, study Hermetic principles and then come back here and try again. The occult? I'm okay, thanks. And yes, Scorpio is always an autumnal sign. Unless, of course, you live in Australia and it's spring. Or Kenya and it's the dry season. Next up is a comment from Don't Kiss Me Bro, who says, Sci-Fi Lai Mandan needs to stop watching Star Trek. Gravity lensing answers everything. I don't think I've ever claimed that it does answer anything, and no, I won't stop watching Star Trek, thank you. Next up we have, it's Talking to Leeds Cullen. I wonder what they've got to say. Simeon Dan. In my next video we will look at a guy who promises to teach us Astronomy 101. Eye roll. Watch his video. Also, Simeon Dan, I know I said I would be talking about this Astronomy 101 video, but then I watched it and realised I will lose any debate immediately. Quick, get me a short creationist video I can debunk real quick, and let's move on and never speak of this again. Effing yikes. Yeah, that's your big science superhero, guys. If it's not flurfers or creationists, it's above his pay grade. Established titles wouldn't want to sponsor him after they get a glimpse of what I would do to Lord Daniel or Denial. His stock would plummet if he took me on, because for once he would get put squarely in his place. What he saw was that he is the tinfoil hat in this debate. However, ducking the facts, while understandable, is unacceptable. This is a miscalculation of judgment and strategy. That assertion will only be proven true by me, personally. You could have just admitted defeat like a person worthy of an established title, but you do not behave in a manner which could be considered the least bit noble. Dear, oh dear. Now, of course, I've gone on to address Talking to Leeds Cullen's videos twice since that comment, the most recent of which came out in a video this Tuesday. He was thoroughly debunked in that video. Moving on, and our next comment comes from Mike Murphy, who says, remember when this was a science education channel? You know, before Dan stumbled upon Flat Earth and realised he could get a lot more views selling out to them by almost solely debunking them than he could by creating actual educational content instead of this daytime talk show, Jerry Springer-esque spectacle of general arrogance and valueless entertainment. What's next? Dan beat a 7-year-old at chess. Initially, his debunking the Flat Earth community probably did have some small positive effects, since even back then 99% of people already had their mind made up, but at this point he's just perpetuating the Flat Earth's quickly diminishing place in the zeitgeist to his own benefit. The risks of exposing children to the concept of Flat Earth is far greater than the likelihood of him swaying anyone of high school or greater opinion. Imagine if Science Asylum, Veritasium, Fermilab or SciShow, to name a few, dedicated 10% of the time Dan does to debunking Flat Earth. Again, they'd be laughed off YouTube. But stay smug, Dan. You're neither funny nor witty bashing of people's ideas who have zero chance of arguing with you is really impressive and not tired at all. How many years on now has it been? Sigh. I'm not sure what Mike is remembering here, but my very first video on this channel was a Flat Earth debunking video. I've never stumbled upon Flat Earth. It's always been my bread and butter. And it's been 5 years and the Flat Earthers are still out there, so it's more important than ever that I continue to try and prove them wrong. And I will do it whether you think I'm funny or not. Cheers. Next up is a comment from Ralph Ricard, who says, what Simeon doesn't seem to understand is how easily debunkable science and the globe really are. Yes, so easily debunkable that 99.9% of the world's population still seem to understand that we live on a sphere. Shame that. Moving on again, and we have Regis Terso Bear, who says, bro, why are you reading all the gross sexual comments? You're disgusting, bro. You don't need to read every comment that bothers you. None of them bother me, but I think it's important to highlight the depths that these people were sink to try and justify their position that they're right. It paints a clear picture as to what sort of people they really are. Now, our penultimate comment comes from a Nicholas Christensen on Facebook, who says, "You have not debunked a freaking thing, you regurgitation machine." Very ironic, considering the regurgitation comes from every single flat earth believer who copies about 20 different flat earth channels, all of whom copy each other. Very ironic indeed. Okay, our last comment this month comes from Jason Mull, who says, "Simon and Dan, can you please show us you doing some globe tests instead of just complaining all the time? I've watched so many of your videos, but all you do is spread misinformation. If you go to Taboo Conspiracy, he disproves what you say, and it really makes it look like you're trying to deceive people purposefully. I want the Earth to be a ball, but you are not convincing me." Taboo Conspiracy? Ah yes, you mean the guy who tried to spread our planted flat Earth information as being correct, even though he didn't check it out for himself first. That guy? The guy that's been debunked more times than I've had hot dinners. That Taboo Conspiracy, that guy. Cool, cool. I'll keep that in mind. Well, there we go. Another fantastic selection of comments for your audio and visual pleasure. But we are all done and dusted for another video. Thank you so much for watching. It truly is appreciated. If you enjoyed it today, please do consider subscribing to the channel. Hit that subscribe button. And then if you want to check out more funny comments videos, there is a playlist full of them. Go and check them out. And of course, if you really enjoyed today's video, hit that like button as well. Just enough time to once again thank Raycon for sponsoring today. Remember, visit buyraycon.com/SimonDan to get 15% off your first purchase of Raycons. I've been Simon Dan. Have yourselves a great day, and I'll see you all tomorrow for the return of Terry R. Iker. See you then.